morning, Oshun. Good morning, good people of Abia State. Welcome to the first edition of our guest entertaining program. Yes, we call it AM Cafe, the guest segment. And today is a remarkable day in the annals of our dear country, Nigeria, as another transition from one civilian administration to another will happen today at the Eagle Sphere in Abuja, when President Muhammad Buhari will be completing his 8-year tenure today. We hand over to a popularly elected president, Senator Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Nigerians have been anxiously waiting to witness today being an historic day, and thank God the 29th of May is finally here. And the program today will be solely dedicated to the handing over ceremony which will happen in Abuja today. Apart from the happening in Abuja, 18 state governors will also be taking the oath of office. 18 state governors will be taking the oath of office today. So we are solely dedicating the program to the ceremony in Abuja, which we are expecting that to be taken live, and all of us will be a witness of a new thing, a beginning of a new life in the history of Nigeria. Good morning once again. My name is Adeyemi Abodele. I have someone with me in the studio this morning together for the next 25 minutes or thereabouts. We'll be looking beyond what will happen to Nigeria next. My guest is a chieftain of the All Progressive Congress. In fact, he is the senatorial leader, OAPC in Osun West Senatorial District. Let me welcome Honorable Akitola Omolaoye on board AM Cafe's guest segment this morning.
Thank you, my brother, and good morning, every Nigerian, and good morning, all citizens of Osun State.
Yes.
We thank God for today. We thank God because today marks another milestone in the history of Nigeria, especially democratic setting and democratic government in Nigeria. So to say, as my brother has actually laid a good foundation, a preamble, comprehensive preamble to what we are all to hear, I believe that we are all historian students, and by the grace of God, what is democracy, and when did this nation become independent, and why and how this country as far as government and system of government is concerned. Before now, Nigeria became Nigeria in 1914 through the amalgamation of the Northern Protectorate and Southern Protectorate by the colonial masters. And since then, what necessitated the coming or the adventure of the white men to Nigeria? Basically, it was commercial. Commercial purposes. In their way and the manner they were searching for the sourcing raw materials for their industries there. Howbeit, as time went by, our people, our fathers, they started agitating for independence, because the time is so short. If we will need to be going to the details, we might not go here. But all I'm trying to say is to lay a very solid foundation for the basis of understanding of how, from where we started, where we are, and where we are going as a nation. By the grace of God, as our people or our fathers started realizing that it is a good thing for us to be ruled by ourselves, they started agitating for independence, and to the glory of God, Nigeria became independent in 1960. And since then, they were given a brief, a pause before the first republic came on board in 1962-1963, which was aborted in 1966. And through then we had the civil war between 1967 up to 1970, thereabout. And the military intervention came in, wherein since then, 1970, all through to 1978, when MPN and UPN laid their foundation, which led to the Sagari system of government. I mean, the election, the general election that saw Sagari, him as the president of Nigeria, Ekweme as the vice president, and so on and so forth. Before then, we had another intervention, interregnum, between 1983, when this very soldier men came in, and all through till 1991, when we had the SDP, NRC, and so on and so forth. And all through to that time, 1998, we still had interregnum between intervention and the coup being staged by the military junta between 1993, which led to June 12 on the Demaco. Apart from that, we had the opportunity when Nigerians, enlightened Nigerians who are Democrats, when they mounted serious pressure upon the military government under Nadeko, specifically the annulment of 1993, June 12, 1993 election, general election that was believed to have been won, popularly won by M.K. Abiola. And by the grace of God, that came, and the interim government was introduced when people kept on agitating that something we were no more interested in military junta or in military rule. And that one forced the military to ensure that necessary foundations were laid and preparation were made to ensure that Nigerians are given the necessary democratic government of their desire. And that came on board. That started 1997 all through. We had it and it was aborted. We know I was one of the victims there because I won under GDM, and it was annulled before 1998 and 1999, which saw AD and not other UNCP and other party like that in the contest. What we are saying here, we have since 1999, to the glory of God, we have been enjoying undisturbed, unperturbed, and undisjointed democratic government in Nigeria, changing of buttons from one hand to the other, whether it's from one party to the other or from within the party. By the grace of God, the PDP, who won the national level in 1999 by our Baba, Obasanjo, Baba Kade in Osun State here, when I served as one of the House of Assembly members in Osun State, not in the state of Osun, but in Osun State then. By the grace of God, since then, things have been moving not smoothly, but expectedly. Because we used to qualify our democratic government. That was then when we started in 1999. But it's no more nascent democracy now, because it's emerging. It's emerging. And we believe that we are growing.
I know if I give you the opportunity, you can speak from now till tomorrow morning.
Oh, I want the Nigerians to know, and the upcoming generation to know where we started, where we are, and where we are going.
Let's look at it from 1999, between 1999 and now.
Okay.
When the present democratic experiment we are enjoying, it has been the longest democratic experiment in Nigeria, like you said, uninterrupted by the military. And looking back between 1999 and now, can we rightly say democratic rule in Nigeria has come to stay?
Thank you so much. Before you can do your unbiased judgment or assessment of any government, you must have gotten some yardsticks or parameters or features which should be present that are not present, which should be obtained that cannot be found. It is only then, when you are juxtaposing It is only then you can say, definitely we have been faring well, definitely we have failed. To me, we have some fundamental features to be compared, which are called at international level as features of democracy. Features of democracy, what are those things? What are the characteristics? What are the germane factors and parameters or indices to be compared before you can say, definitely this democratic government is moving as it ought to be, or it has been derailing? If they meet, if such a government, democratic government meets such a features as time, then you will say we are moving. But if it fails in achieving those features, then you will say we are not faring well. What are those 4 features? 4 features are under democratic government. That, number 1, is that there should be a proper arrangement, constitutional arrangement and provision, wherein people with time, people will be able to decide who rules them. That is the tenor. Yes. That is the tenor. Number 2, that there should be a laid down processes through which such people will emerge under law. That is second point. Third point is that Nigerians will be given fiat or opportunity, the latitude to operate without being unduly influenced, to elect, to select, elect, and to make themselves available in choosing their choices, making their choices. That is leader. That is number 3. Number 4 is fundamental. That is the rule of law. The rule of law is the 4th one. And having satisfied the first 3 above, as mentioned, if the 4th one is messed up, then the whole thing collapses. That is, if law is not respected, that is the rule of law. When we say rule of law, it simply means no one is higher than law. Everybody should tailor his actions and inaction according to the dictates of law, as stated in the Constitution, that oppose the country Nigeria as a country. Having laid these 4 fundamental features with which to compare a given government of a given country, whether it's faring well or is missing it, then those 4 features will be critically assessed and looked into, and ensure that such a government falls in line, operates accordingly to those 4 features. In my own view, as you have rightly said,
have we met up with those?
By the grace of God in Nigeria, why I truly hope those 4 features is for you listeners to ensure that you are doing your own personal assessment before one can say, when I'm saying my own, you will say whether one is telling lie or whether it's actually judging right. To me personally, we are moving. Number 1, by the grace of God in 1999, as my friend said, that we are going to examine between 1999 to date. To me, we are moving and we are progressing. What do I mean? I mean, in those days, undue influences could be so much to the extent that it is only announced, it is only results that were announced that were accepted. But today, technological development and devices have been introduced in the conduct of elections, to the extent that it is not by manual register alone. We have beavers, we have other things like that, through which every voter will go, and that one will actually mark you or pardon you, accept you as a qualified and bona fide voter for a given election. And it wasn't so in those days. It is by the grace of God. Some people will say they must have marked some polling unit through which they will actually had or write figures in those days. But nowadays, you cannot do that. So we are improving along that. And when you consider the second feature is that, are you allowed, are Nigerians not disenfranchised? Are they not disallowed to vote when they ought to cast their vote accordingly? Today, no one can embarrass you. No one can use open thuggery to distract or to scare people. No, our military apparatus and policemen and all these very security paraphernalia are in place. We are improving upon that as well. But when it comes to the rule of law, because the truth must be said, we have not met the standard expected of Nigeria in that very area, because in the area of rule of law, which is the fourth feature, which is fundamental, because in any society that denigrates or fails to follow the real laydown as provided in the Constitution of Nigeria as amended 1999, we need to adjust critically on that to ensure that law and any action and inaction by the people, by the government, by the people in government, or by the rule, that is Nigerians, we should know and we should prepare ourselves to continue to act and to set our action in line with the dictates of the law under security.
Yes, looking at the 8-year tenure
yes.
of President Muhammadu Buhari, with regards to the rule of law you mentioned, can we rightly submit that the rule of law was constitutionally enforced during the lifetime of that administration?
To me, as a Nigerian, there are some gray areas wherein our constitution are suppressed. The provisions of the constitution are suppressed, tactically suppressed. And you know, who is the operator? Which one is the organ to ensure that provisions of the constitution are adhered to? Is the judiciary. So when you are talking of a government, we have three arms of government that are established constitutionally, which should serve as checks and balances, the watchdogs upon each other, and that is the arm of government, the legislative, the executive, and the judiciary. When any of these three arms relaxes or fails to ensure that their schedules or duties are carried out without missing word, then there will be lacuna. And those lacunas, if they are not properly handled, it can actually disjointed others, because government is not a vacuum and government is a chain. And when each bit is disjointed from the whole, then the problem will set in. All I'm trying to say is that we have not had it so fine, so expectedly. To me, in the area of security, in the area of rule of law, and this one has to do with the action and inaction of the judiciary, the influence, the undue influence, unknown to the public, undue influence from one arm to the other as it affects the second arm. So the judiciary is being affected.
Does it mean that the judiciary, one of the three arms of government, has not been independent as being proclaimed?
Well, you bring me to another academic exercise which can end in futility. There is no arm of government that can be said to be so independent. They are interdependent. What do I mean by that? No arm is independent of the other. You cannot be absolutely independent, but interdependence. You depend on me, I depend on you. If the workings and administration of the government will not be hampered, by the time you say you should be fully independent, you can't be independent. So no harm is generally said, it can generally be said to be independent of the other, but they are interdependent. Judiciary, before you are appointed as the CJ, someone will announce you, which is the governor, and the governor belongs to the executive arm of government. And before your choice, before your nomination can be approved and announced, it has to be recommended to the House of Assembly as well. So even ditto for the national level, before any CJ will be appointed, before the judges will be appointed, they have to go through some rigors. And those rigors, what they are saying is that they have to be recommended and approved by another arm before you can be said that Mr. Lagbaja has become Justice Lagbaja has become the CJ, the judge, or as the case may be. What we are trying to say is that even the House of Assembly and the executive that were actually elected by the people and they are expected to be independent, are they independent? They are not independent. They are interdependent.
Given our experience under the 8-year tenure of the outgoing president, Muhammadu Buhari, and the expected swearing in of a new president, the 16th president of Nigeria, today in Abuja. What changes or challenges do you expect the new president, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, to face and in revamping what
the mess?
Yes.
Okay, I don't know which word we want to choose. Well, by the grace of God, as the pattern is being changed today, they are changing pattern of governance from one hand to the other, but within the same political party. Thank you for that, and for giving us the grace to witness this. The new president, the incoming president, by now everything is now a president by the grace of God. I believe Yorùbá sọ pé ọmọ inú ọgbà kì í ti sú yọ. Baba Tinubu is ọmọ inú ọgbà within. A farmer who plants, who nurtures or cares for the farm, will know every angle of his farm. Nigeria is likened to a farm through which Tinubu has traversed, has actually known the nitty-gritties and everybody, the operators of Nigeria. And as a result of this, I believe with God on his side, he will be able to bring the succor to Nigerians and to renew our hope. As he captioned it, renew hope. I believe that he must have understood, he must have understudied all the areas where the Sioux is actually pinching Nigerians. And he must have been able to sit down before now. I believe that he has gotten his blueprint with which to work with. Based on this, he must have analyzed and enlisted the areas of that need intervention, government intervention, and timely intervention as well. Intervention refers to timely intervention. Nigerians need timely intervention from the new government that is coming on board today in the area of security, in the area of employment provision for the youth, in the area of improving the standard of living of Nigerians, in the area of looking into how necessary basic needs of life will be provided for Nigerians without much hardship, as we experienced in the last something. Because truth must be said always, to ensure that the leaders, they listen to us. We should not be able to, we shouldn't be a sycophant that, oh, even if you see the wrong thing like this, you will say, because of personal gains you want to achieve, you won't say the truth. No, that should not be said. And we have actually bypassed that very stage in Nigeria today. We have actually ruined ourselves to this level. And I believe the new government that is coming on board today, if Nigeria will remain one, fundamental steps to alleviate oppression, to alleviate hardship on the common Nigerians should be properly looked into and adopted in good time.
So your expectations from the administrations would be able to be met by the administration of Bola Ahmed Tinubu?
I believe that administration of Bola Ahmed Tinubu is God sent. That is, to me, my own personal assessment, and is for good for all Nigerians. We should not be panicking. Things will turn around for good under God, because he has traveled across Nigeria. Tinubu, he has listened to every bit of complaints by Nigerians. Not only that, he fought with us. He went through all these very horrible things with us. And I believe he has good listening ears. And by the time he was going around, he was jotting some things down. And area by area, geopolitical zone by geopolitical zone, he knows what each of the geopolitical zones, the 6 geopolitical zones in Nigeria, he knows what each of these very critical units of the nation is actually passing through. Because we are Nigeria, we are a country, but we have some differences, and those differences will be handled maturely painstakingly to ensure that Nigeria remains one.
Yes, apart from our expectations from the new administration,
Yes.
what should be our responsibility
Okay.
as citizens to the administrations as well?
Thank you so much. We have responsibility of citizens to government, while in the other hand, government has its own responsibility to the public. One of the main things as a good Nigerian is to be submissive and to be law-abiding, because what you do not want other people to do to you, you should not do such a harmful act or inaction onto such a to another person. Security is very, very germane, and those kidnappers, I believe they are Nigerians, and they are threatening the corporate existence of Nigeria. And this one, governments will look critically into it. And those people, the kidnappers, in quotes, they are Nigerians. They do not fall from heaven. Even if they are not Nigerians, they were not being imported. They passed through our territorial terrain in Nigeria. So every Nigerian is advised to be vigilant and to be our brother's keeper. That wise, security will be strengthened if we be our brother's keeper, because they are not living in the here. So number two is to cooperate, irrespective of the political inclination, the political lineage that we might belong. We should see that we are all Nigerians.